exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you, and Ashlyn over there, and it is it's a rainy Monday, baby. I'm telling you, it is cats and dogs out there, and I think it's it's like Highway 40. We were talking about that last week and how they really didn't do much with it when they refurbished everything and did all that other nonsense. And to tell you the truth, the rain wouldn't be as bad if there weren't like big gullies in the road in the middle of the highway. I mean, they're like gigantic puddles in the middle of the highway on 40 when you're driving around, and it's just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, every once in a while you hit one of those and you're kind of going crazy, and it's just nuts. So it should be going on, I think, until about 4 or 5. I think there's a 60% chance of rain still at rush hour and 5 o'clock. Break in the weather yesterday was beautiful because yesterday was Natalie's graduation from Villa, and it is just a really super proud moment for the family. Aiden is in town, and so it's just been really fantastic. Have such a great time, and so proud of Natalie and all of the girls. Natalie as a co-valedictorian, because the school produced 2 valedictorians, which I think is really pretty amazing. I was really super proud of her speech. It was a leadership speech almost, It was really, I told her that, I said, your speech is almost like, it was a real leadership speech, because she involved everybody in the process. It wasn't you get up there and talk about yourself type of thing, and it was really great. I really love that she began with a Bible verse, which is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that is how her speech began. And I am a super proud dad, and we are a proud family. and absolutely just was an amazing time. So anyway, beautiful. Congratulations to my daughter, Natalie. And she's heading off to Georgetown in the, it's funny because over the week, or it was Friday, I can't remember, because Dr. Tobler's, one of his people is graduating with like an MBA or something from Georgetown. And he took a picture of their little diversity, equity, and inclusion office or whatever. And he says they still haven't learned. And my feeling is, you fortify people. I mean, I went to one of the most liberal colleges in the country, which is the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and it didn't affect me, change me, or do anything to me in any way, shape, or form. And so I was not in any way, shape, or form bothered by it, nor did I actually. I saw some people change, but it depended on who their people were. I told you that I had a girlfriend from Virginia Beach, and she was a little hottie, and your typical cheerleader. She was a cheerleader from Virginia Beach, and she was one of my first girlfriends up there in college. And the long story short is, she started at Madison, Wisconsin. She was my girlfriend. And eventually we broke up, and years later she wound up as one of the homeless people on the front of the White House lawn. So because of a teacher there, a history teacher there, who just absolutely poisoned her brain. I'm not kidding you. She became, suddenly she went from this Virginia Beach cheerleader, to having hair on her legs, and it just was like, oh Lordy. And it just became really weird. And she wound up going to Guatemala. I can't remember, or was it Honduras? I can't remember, but she wound up like becoming the girlfriend of Ortega's brother. I think the Sandinistas and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was the craziest damn thing. So she absolutely was transformed from school. But a lot of people were not. I mean, I worked on the conservative newspaper up there and everything else, and I actually think Natalie, who is very open-minded, she's not a fire breather like me, but she's very steady, calm, and when she went to Ghana for her little mission trip that she did on her own, by the way, she made all the plans to go there, everything else, build some fences and things for people of Ghana, who, by the way, love Americans. She was wearing her U.S. Marines shirt that I gave her a long time ago down there all the time. And all the European kids were like, what is that? But she's very pro-American, pro-military, and a common sense girl. And I'm really super proud of her. And I don't worry about where these kids go because they have been fortified, not only through their faith, but in how we raise them. And that's really super important when you send them out. Obviously, anything can change, but I don't worry about it. I think it's a great school, has a great tradition, and I'm really super proud of her. But anyway, enough about me. How about a little bit about Pizza Hut, shall we? You guys see this? Everybody's really excited about it. Apparently, the people who mostly in the 80s, because apparently Pizza Hut wasn't like a thing for me growing up. But in the 80s, apparently, Pizza Hut, as its nostalgia day, is absolutely. So now it's based in Kansas, and 100 Pizza Hut locations across the country. Only 100 still, though, right? But Pizza Hut is now rewinding the clock, redecorating more than 80 annoying, modern, stark-looking locations that make them look like they did decades ago. So now we're going to go to the red plastic cups. Those will be back. The salad bar will be back. And the old school Pac-Man machines will also return. Now, apparently, I don't remember this, but a lot of you folks who from the 80s would ever absolutely probably do, is that they were Pac-Man machines in Pizza Hut. And so you could sit there, and some of them were like as tables, whatever, but there were Pac-Man machines there that basically made them famous. And so now that is a really good idea. Pizza Hut is going to bring back its mainstream. It's like the OG recipe, as they call it. And so they're going to have the red booths and the checkered tablecloths again, and the Pizza Hut lights that are over the booth. Ashlyn's excited about that. So you remember all this, right? This is like Pizza Hut was a thing, right?
Yeah, it was a really big thing growing up. Like, Book It?
Yeah.
Schools did that? Yeah, I love Pizza Hut.
Okay, because Jared just said book it, and I didn't know what he meant. So
yeah,
what did they do that way?
It encouraged kids to read books. So
Oh.
you read so many books, and then you got a free little personal pan pizza.
Oh,
from
wow.
Pizza Hut. Yeah, so it was awesome.
Oh, that is such a great idea. And, I think that when it comes to pizza chains and things like that, I mean, Emo still has its brand, I think, but some people, especially people from the East Coast, oh, it's a saltine cracker, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just telling you that the way I remember Pizza Hut, mostly like in college and stuff, is when they did like the personal pan pizzas. Like you could get your little personal pan pizza, which is really pretty good. But they had pictures of the redesign, and it looks great. I mean, they right down to the wooden slotted chairs and things like that. So that's a great idea. And you guys know how much I love branding. You guys know when I talk about branding, I'm going to spare you the Hardee's fried chicken story again because I'm obviously I do that a lot. But the Hardee's fried chicken story is a great branding story. And for a long time, I've always felt like McDonald's should, because at one point they were doing all the salads and all the weird stuff, and they were doing the plant-based hamburger. Remember that one? And everything else. And they got close to it by going to that one big, gigantic burger. I can't remember what it was called. The Big Mac, was some formulation of it. And so I always thought McDonald's should go back to the old days. They are going back where they're cooking the fries in beef tallow now, and they're still doing it. But I always thought they should go all the way back to like Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar and all that other stuff. But apparently they really don't need to. They haven't lost too much of a market share. Pizza in this country, though, is really super competitive. And you've got the people who like, for instance, the Emo's Pizza or the Pantera's Pizza or the Pizza Hut Pizza. And then you have other people who more like the fancier kinds of pizza, the different kind of pizza brands, whatever. But also, it's so competitive. It's really interesting. One thing I saw in real life where it showed how marketing works, because a lot of times people have been confused. I know I was. Like, for instance, you'd see a Home Depot right there, and then suddenly across the street, they'd build a Menards. Then close to the Menards, they'd build a Lowe's. And those of us, before I kind of learned about the whole idea of marketing and placement and that kind of thing, I was like, why would they all be in the same place? Because it's like cannibalizing each other and doing whatever. But the mindset is that if somebody's going to Home Depot, they're looking for home products. And so if you're selling home products and you're not Home Depot, you want to go where the people are driving around to Home Depot, because there's a good chance that maybe somebody will pop into Menards instead of Home Depot. And then maybe there's some people who will go to Lowe's for something after they've gone to Menards for something. So everything is in one place. That's why in Pacific, which is, by the way, wow. Have you guys been to Pacific, Missouri, right off of 44 there? Pacific is a fantastic town, and it is old school. It is historic. It's quirky, and it is absolutely dynamo. They've got a brand new tiny house hotel down there that's really super cool. And, of course, they have the barbecue place down there, Brown Jerry's Barbecue, which is absolutely fantastic. Brown Jerry is also a great singer of the national anthem. He's pretty cool there. They've got the train tracks there and all that kind of stuff. And then you go a little further down in the main town area there, and they have some pretty cool places. I've kind of walked around when I was getting my Jeep fixed at Dave Sinclair Jeep right there off of 44 and right in Pacific there, walking around while I'm waiting for the car to get repaired, whatever. And so you notice there are 3 pizza places right across. Like there's an Emo's on one corner right there. Then there's a Pizza Hut, and then there's a Domino's. And the Pizza Hut and Domino's are literally right next to each other. And I was wondering, I was like, yeah, okay, this is that Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's thing, because you figure, well, if the people going to Emo's are looking for pizza, there's a good chance if they're in that area looking for pizza, they might go into Pizza Hut. Or if they go into Pizza Hut or they're looking for pizza, there's a good chance they might go into Domino's. It's that kind of thing, and that's why you have these places literally building right across the street from each other. Jared, Brown Jerry is a great guy, and that is the coolest place. And if you ever just want to, give up and forget about trying to eat well all the time, whatever, you got to get the French fries, which has the barbecue pork French fries. You got to get those because those will knock you out. It's really good. And you know what? You can do it. It's okay. Go ahead and let it rip. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it at all. If you do go to Brown Jerry's, if I did just send you down there, then you let them know that Jamie Allman sent you. That would be fantastic. All right, speaking of food, you know about balsamic vinegar, Modena, right? World famous balsamic vinegar. Sad news because there's been a terror attack in Modena, Italy. And it looks like this is the beginning of yet another European country colonized by Muslim crazies. We'll follow up on that, and the Grifters United organization known as Black Lives Matter is bitching about a George Floyd joke at the Kevin Hart roast. If you can believe that, these humorless crazies. We'll follow up on all that. Plus, also, ladies and gentlemen, apparently there's a science guy who says, if you paint that reflecting pond blue, it's just going to attract more algae, and he doesn't get it at all. We'll follow up on that as well, because the internet was a little quirky. Plus, Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger going to be joining us in just a little bit, too, to wrap up the session and the accomplishments there. Happy rainy Monday to all of you and yours. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Portman, who is a friend of mine, he also happens to be 1/5 of this power-packed team at Gemini Wealth Group, thegemiниwealthgroup.com. Jeff is a strong supporter of free, common sense, conservative radio, and has been now going on about 2 years. They were on board for all of 2026, and that just means they're on board with making sure your brand of radio, like I always say, free, common sense, conservative radio, stays alive and kicking. On top of that, speaking of being alive and kicking, how about your retirement? 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years is the amount of time some people are living past their retirement age. And so it's really, it's great news, but it can be trepidation if you're not already locked down in terms of getting your finances in order and everything else. That's what the Gemini Wealth Group does. They get you in, they talk to you, more than 100 years of experience in investiture, in portfolio management, all that kind of stuff. And what they do, sit you down, they go over your portfolio. First of all, they have an investment program. This is a diversification program that creates great wealth for you. So you already have some in terms of your retirement, but they grow it so that you can live off your dividends without ever touching really the main part of that portfolio. Then they start to plan, do you want to travel? You want to help the grandkids with college? Where are you going to live? How are you going to live? Are you going to need some money set aside for medical expenses, for whatever else it is? So they plan, because long-term planning is really what it's all about. So if I'm talking about things, if you're retired, and I'm talking about things that you haven't heard before, you need to get a hold of the Gemini Wealth Group right now. If you're about to retire, you for sure need to get a hold of them as well. TheGeminiWealthGroup.com. That's TheGeminiWealthGroup.com.
License number GL2500615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No.
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and it's tough to pick, but my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is the cheesesteak with a side of Cap's awesome fries. Visit Capriati's now at 2 locations on Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis and Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Dozens of out-of-state law firms are crashing into St. Louis trying to get your business. My advice, rely on a hometown firm. Under Law has been here for years. There are lawyers raising their families right alongside yours. And when you're injured by someone's careless actions, you are entitled to full compensation. You want lawyers who will not bend to big insurance, but will stand defiantly protecting you. Under Law, O-N-D-E-R, underlaw.com. Under wins.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So did we get anything significant from China in Trump's visit? He says Premier Xi agreed China would buy vast amounts of soybeans and other farm products. Now, China has said the same in the past, but usually falls short. Trump said China was buying 200 Boeing jets, but China said nothing to confirm that deal. And Boeing Company shareholders expected an even bigger order. So despite any news, the stock dropped. There are conflicting reports on what, if anything, was discussed or agreed to regarding Iran. I do know this. We continue relying on over-the-counter drugs from China. 95% of Advil, Motrin, 70% Tylenol. At least 700 medicines in our nation have at least one China ingredient. Here's a case where we shouldn't even discuss what China does. It is what we should do. We should start making all of our drugs in the USA using only USA ingredients. We've been relying on China because of government regulations. That needs to be addressed sooner than later. Relying on your enemy to provide drugs to make us healthy? Does that sound dangerous? Yes, and possibly disastrous.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Grasser Home Services.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday to all of you and yours. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there as well. And welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch, my friends. Want to just send a little bit of a prayer kiss to Allison. She sent me pictures of the Washington Guard doing a beautiful flag presentation at her husband Jerry's celebration of life on Saturday out there in Washington, Mo. So I'm glad that looks beautiful. And, of course, the Washington Guard is amazing. And Joe Adams and Commander Joe Adams and Deanna. So, yes, we will remember him always, Allison, as you will too. And you will always be in our prayers. So I'm glad that worked out Saturday in Washington. It's great pics, and thank you for sending them along. All right, you guys might remember who Nikema Levy Armstrong is. Nikema Levy Armstrong. So she basically is like what Candace Owens used to be, which is a person who monetized racial outrage and made money off of it. So, you know, and as part of the millions of dollars she also made, because she was kind of a nonprofit network consulting firm with Black Lives Matter and everything else. And just real quickly, because you guys, I like it when I want to address this too. Mark Schmitz, who of course is a Freedom 13 dad, Gold Star dad, and Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz murdered in Afghanistan at Abbey Gate. Anyway, apparently, I saw this before. We never get any of this heads up notice. It's so weird, and maybe it's because I'm not looking. But Kid Rock was in town on Friday at the amphitheater, and Mark Schmitz apparently kicked off the Kid Rock concert on Friday. So that's very cool. Kid Rock is groovy, but I didn't find out that he was coming to St. Louis until Wednesday. It was kind of crazy. So anyway, I hope that was a good concert, Amy. You obviously went to it, so I'm sure it was fantastic. Thanks for filling us in, and good for Kid Rock to include Mark Schmitz in that whole celebration, that Kid Rock concert. Anyway, Nikema Levy Armstrong. So she is a Black Lives Matter grifter, and she also was the one, and you might remember this, of course. She also led the storming of the city's church in St. Paul. Remember that, along with Don Lemon? I'm sure, and I hope that they don't let this go, because I don't want, I want Don Lemon and this chick prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. They're civil rights violators. Isn't it interesting for a bunch of babbling brooks who babble on about civil rights and Black Lives Matter and all this nonsense, go in and purposely violate the civil rights of a bunch of white people in church? Pretty crazy, huh? Yeah. Anyway, apparently they were very offended by the George Floyd joke at the Kevin Hart roast that has gotten a lot of attention. It was really funny. The whole thing was funny. And it was offensive, which is fantastic. It was like hilariously offensive. Like no body was left unburied. It was fantastic. And Tony Hinchcliffe made a joke about George Floyd, which was hilarious. And actually, when Nakima decided when they were doing their news conference about how offended they were at the George Floyd joke, she actually, in repeating it, laughed at it. Yeah. Oh.
Again, it is not a laughing matter. We are here today to call your attention to the fact that an egregious, disgusting joke was made about George Floyd. Here we are about to memorialize George Floyd for year 6 after his brutal murder at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. Our community is still experiencing grief and trauma. We have young people in our community who were children at the time, they're now teenagers, still dealing with the impacts of the police killing of George Floyd. And instead of allowing our community to grieve in peace, to celebrate George Floyd in peace, we have Netflix comedians making light of the brutal killing of George Floyd. It is unacceptable and it is unconscionable. Tony Hinchcliffe made a grotesque joke saying that
she's laughing at the joke. Did you hear her? She's laughing at it after complaining about it. This is surreal.
Acceptable and it is unconscionable. Tony Hinchcliffe made a grotesque joke saying that George Floyd is looking up at us, laughing, and he can't breathe.
How is it possible that she's laughing at the joke? I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's actually even funnier coming out of her mouth than it is Tony Hinchcliffe's mouth. But how is it possible that you could be holding a news conference and George Floyd's family apparently was all involved in it because they were all unhappy about the joke as well.
We have
and she
Netflix
laughs at
comedians making light of the brutal killing of George Floyd. It is unacceptable and it is unconscionable. Tony Hinchcliffe made a grotesque joke saying that George Floyd is...
I couldn't even believe it. It's like, is this like AI or something? No, she's laughing about it. And it's because it's funny and plus it's mean, which makes it even funnier because it's brutal and mean. I mean, at one point, Hinchcliffe, and I don't like to make sport of this, but since Pete Davidson is such a jerk and so nasty to everybody that, Hinchcliffe made a joke about Pete Davidson's dad and who was a firefighter in New York who died on 9/11. And he said, well, considering how much of a failure you are, your dad must be rolling over in his rubble. And now generally, because it's 9/11 and everything, you wouldn't think that's funny, but because of its brutality and its invective and its meanness, it's actually funny. And so, like this meme somebody put out with George Floyd's picture on it, and the meme says, "Thanks to Officer Chauvin, I'm 5 years sober today." I mean, that's mean, but that's how things go. But listen, if the Black Lives Matter chick can laugh at it, so can we, right? She's the one who laughed, not us. Well, yeah, we did.
To grieve in peace, to celebrate George Floyd in peace, we have Netflix comedians making light of the brutal killing of George Floyd. It is unacceptable and it is unconscionable. Tony Hinchcliffe made a grotesque joke saying that George Floyd is looking...
I mean, I can't wrap my head around it at all, but she's laughing now. So what are we going to do with this hantavirus thing news media is desperately trying to make it into another pandemic, COVID thing. I mean, it's a little different than COVID, though, because it's like you get it. You basically have a 60% chance of dying, but stop playing with rats. That's your first thing you ought to be thinking about. Turns out it all started because some dude was like in a landfill with a bunch of rats. People are so stupid. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger is going to be joining me next year. Going to find out about the session and also how he gets along with Governor Kehoe. I always wonder about that relationship between the governor and lieutenant governor, so we'll follow up on that. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's free, common sense, conservative radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Schneider's True Value Hardware Store. You know, I was talking about Pizza Hut kind of going back to the old days of the brand and all that kind of stuff. Well, Schneider's is already back in the old days. And I mean in terms of just the hardware store feel, the vintage hardware store feel. There is nothing old days about, for instance, them carrying the brand new steel line of garden tools, and these are battery operated hedge clippers, all those kinds of things that you actually think are cool and like. They do have the gas powered chainsaws, that kind of stuff still. But the steel products, STIHL, is really super cool. It's the latest in this kind of line of tools, and they're 100% better than some of the other ones out there. Schneider's True Value Hardware is not only the carrier of these products, but they will repair them, all parts, everything else they have for you as well. I'm impressed when I walk in and I see that, hey, you've got an entire area, a paint area that rivals the Home Depots of the world, or even the Menards for that matter. So they have an entire paint area, the experts there to help you with everything. They even have stuff that you can decorate your yard with for July 4th or whatever. They've got mailboxes and things like that, all the things you're going to need, everything that a hardware store should be. On top of that, also, Jerry and his sidekick, Charlie, they're both super great guys, and they are experts, and they've got other employees there who you ask them a question, they will know the answer to it. I pretty much guarantee you, you don't need Claude or anything else when you've got Jerry, Charlie, and the rest of the gang at Schneider's True Value Hardware. More than 100 years in Old Town St. Peter's. Really super easy to get to. Great place. Been in Jerry's family for that long, and it's really super cool. Check it out at truevaluehardware.com, truevaluehardware.com/Schneiders.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
Hello, 4th of July.
Back-to-back Jack! Kerry Robinson, a hero tonight!
The Cubs visit St. Louis May 29th through the 31st for a weekend of baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium. The history is real. The fans are loud, and the energy in the ballpark is unmatched. Day or night, every pitch matters when these two meet. So get ready, Cardinals fans. This is what summer baseball in St. Louis is all about. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/tickets.
The weekend starts at Busch Stadium. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Louvre. With $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at cardinals.com.
Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2
On Newstalk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Walner Home Selling Team.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report on Newstalk STL. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3-Martini Lunch. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashton over there, and on the amazing guy line, Lieutenant Governor Dave Wasinger. I had the pleasure of running into him on occasion. Out and about, because David is an out and about kind of guy. And how you doing, Lieutenant Governor?
I'm doing great, Jamie. You're an out and about kind of guy too. You know, I was supposed to be out and about. The weather guys were not with us. I was supposed to be meeting with J.D. Vance over in Kansas City right now, and the weather guys have not cooperated. So I wasn't able to do it. I met with him about a year ago, and he's such a great guy. I was really looking forward to it. But he's in Missouri right now, so it's
oh, nice.
What an honor to have the Vice President in Missouri.
Yeah, no doubt. Is he just speaking at an event of some sort, or?
Yeah, he's boosting a manufacturing company in Kansas City area,
Oh,
so he
okay.
came in to kind of boost manufacturing in the state of Missouri. So he's we're delighted to have him in our great state.
Yeah, well, we're delighted to have you as Lieutenant Governor, my friend. And I always wanted to know, just on just for grins, like as a Lieutenant Governor, like how often do you meet with Governor Kehoe, or what exactly is the role of a Lieutenant Governor? And do you guys talk to each other a lot?
You know, that's one of the best questions that I get on the trail and when I'm out and about, for this reason. It varies from state to state. Florida, for example, runs as a ticket. You know, you run as governor and lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor does whatever the governor tells him to do. Missouri is not like that. You remember for years we had a Democrat governor, Jay Nixon, and a Republican lieutenant governor, Peter Kinder.
Yeah.
So they run as separate tickets. So I ran independently of Governor Kehoe. With that said, he and I have gotten along fine. We try to get together. I may see him 3 times in 2 days, and then I may not see him for 2 or 3 weeks. So it kind of hit and miss as to how often I see him. We do try to get together once a month. We just met on Tuesday, along with the other statewide office holders. We Catherine Hanaway, Auditor Fitzpatrick, Treasurer Malik, and Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. So the 5 of us normally try to sit down once a month. You know, we're kind of in our own silos to make sure, compare notes with what everybody's doing to make sure we're trying to move the state forward. So it really varies, but I may see him, 3 times in 2 days. I may not see him again for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and last time I saw you was kind of out and about in the Capitol itself, and I know that you're doing a lot of work, or did do a lot of work, in trying to kind of encourage the right kinds of votes and the pursuits of what the Freedom Caucus actually kind of set in motion. And so it sounds to me like that was also kind of something that you were tasking yourself with in this session. How would you size up then the session itself?
Well, somebody had asked me to give it a grade, like when you're in grade school, A, B, C, or D. Sometimes or in college, sometimes you would get the grade of incomplete, where you're not complete. I would give this session an incomplete grade for this reason, Jamie, is a lot of this stuff has been pushed over to the ballot in August or November, depending on how governor. So we have the income tax, which went through the legislature, but it still needs to be voted on by the people of the great state of Missouri, which is going to be in August. We had Amendment 3, which is a pro-life bill. It has gone through the legislature, but it needs to be voted on in August or November this year. We have redistricting, which is the referendum. It'll be voted on this year. We have initiative petition reform, which is going to be voted on in August or November. So some things went through the state legislature, but we haven't finished the deal. So if you ask me that question in, December of this year, I'd be able to give you a formal answer as to whether or not we had an A or a D or an F. It depends on how this stuff gets to the finish line. You can get through the legislature, but if we remain a pro-abortion state, it doesn't get us very far. If income tax reform, you pass it through, but the voters reject that, it doesn't mean anything. Same with initiative petition reform. So I give the legislative effort so far an incomplete grade, and it could be an A, it could be an F. This is by December of this year.
Yeah, and I'm a little fearful of this August vote. I don't like the August primaries. The voter turnout is just simply not high enough, and there's a lot of things that can happen in that situation. I wonder why, and maybe that's some question for a lawmaker, but I wonder why the income tax thing is in August, not November.
Well, I think Governor Kehoe is wrestling with, there's so much on the ballot in permutations, do you want to be with redistricting? Do you want income tax repeal with, so there are a lot of permutations. I think he was struggling with that. I'm not sure if it's all been announced. I think he has to do that by the middle of this week or the end of this week. It will be announced on which item is going to be on which ballot.
Yeah, and a lot of people are wondering, and this is a question that I've already asked other people and had it answered, but just for a reaffirmation, for some people, they're like, well, wait a minute, why have a legislature if we're just simply bouncing everything out to the public? I mean, not that they're insignificant, but the legislature supposedly is representatives of the public, and how come they can't change the income tax on their own with a vote? And apparently the answer is it's going to be a constitutional amendment, correct?
Well, yes, and the reason is, Jamie, this is one of the reasons I ran for lieutenant governor, because the Missouri legislature doesn't get anything done. The Missouri Constitution has morphed into something the size of a Holy Bible. So we have, whether you're for or against it, we've got marijuana in the Constitution. It should not, the marijuana amendment alone is longer than the U.S. Constitution in the Missouri Constitution. Wow. We have online betting. Whether you're for or against it, the legislature couldn't get anything done. It's now embedded in the Missouri Constitution, which changes rapidly. We have bingo. So a few years ago, the real estate industry pushed a constitutional amendment relating to, they didn't want sales tax. So there's a broad prohibition against sales tax in the Constitution. So now you have to go back to revise anything, as you correctly pointed out, because the legislature didn't get their job done and do it through the legislative process. It's a heavy lift because you have to go back and amend the Constitution. We're an abortion on-demand state because these left-wing billionaires, come in here. They found a way to jimmy the Constitution, so they turn us from a pro-life state into a pro-abortion state overnight.
Yeah, and I guess the argument for the popping it to the constitutional amendment would be that if the Democrats come in, which is, I don't know when that's ever going to happen, if they come into power of some sort in Missouri by some fluke, that they would just simply then raise them again. But I don't know. I mean, I guess this is a safe bet. But man, if I had my way, the legislature would just do it and be done with it already. So
yep. Yeah, you're exactly right. You're spot on. That's one of the reasons I ran for lieutenant governor. Exactly what you're saying. The Missouri legislature hadn't gotten their job done. And, that now we're left, having to unwind. So we've dug ourselves in a hole, and now we're trying to dig ourselves out of the hole. Redistricting being there should have been a 7-1 after the census had done last time. Instead, the legislature, the Senate, they didn't get it done. They did it at 6. Now, President Trump kind of leaned on them. You should have done a 7-1 map. So now you're going to go through this process, belatedly. And, it's turned into a hornet's nest of litigation. It's probably going to end up on the ballot in some form or fashion in August or November, which is going to gin Democrat turnout.
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that perspective. I think it's interesting, and I think that's a worthwhile role of the lieutenant governor. Kind of, you've got the governor, and then you've got the legislature. It's kind of seems like a worthwhile role, even if people don't agree with you necessarily on it. I'm sure some lawmakers would not, but I think it's a worthwhile role for Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger to be kind of the conscience of the Capitol, so to speak, if that's the way you want to put it. I don't want to put too much on you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I ran as a kind of a bully pulpit, and one of the roles of the lieutenant governor allows, you invite me on your show, so I'm able to voice and sit. I have a front row seat to the, frankly, the kind of the insanity that takes place in the state legislature. So I'm coming. I ran, the grassroots of the people that got me elected. So as I tell the staff, we're looking out for the forgotten men and women of Missouri. We're not looking out for the lobbyists, special interest, and career politicians that have run Jeff City for decades. And so I'll have the Capitol Police come in. I'll have the janitorial crew come in. I'll have the maintenance workers come in and said, you know what? We've never seen anybody like you. You're kind of fighting for us. You're not fighting for these guys up on the third floor. I go, nope.
Yeah.
Fighting for you. So it warms my heart. I just had a maintenance guy come in last week and said, I appreciated what no one else is bringing the issue up. We can't thank you enough for what you're doing.
Yeah, I like that because I always really appreciated the bully pulpit role of Peter Kinder, and I think you really kind of exemplify that type of vibe for the lieutenant governor's office. I know you mentioned him earlier, but he was similar to that, and not many lieutenant governors have been. So, David Wasinger, how do people get a hold of you if they need to, or bone up on what you're up to, whatever?
Jamie, it's real easy on social media. You can go on X or formerly Twitter, David Wasinger, at David Wasinger, DavidWasinger, 1 S in Wasinger, or you're welcome to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or get on our website. We've got a lot of events and releases and what we're doing up on the David Wasinger Lieutenant Governor website.
Sounds good. It was great talking to you. I like seeing you here in St. Louis. I know you've been here this weekend. I sometimes see you over at Rick Pogue's, the hideout there in High Ridge, which is fantastic for these events. So good luck to you, and thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Always a pleasure. Good to see you, too. I'll see you around town, Jamie.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
That
Thank
is
you.
Lieutenant Governor
Okay,
Dave Wasinger. And by the way, he was supposed to be with J.D. Vance in Kansas City. J.D. Vance is speaking right now at a manufacturing facility in Kansas City. If he's still speaking, when we return after this, we will bring it to you live. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Looking for a great place to play golf and host your next event? Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge is more than just exceptional golf. Our clubhouse is the perfect spot for private parties, family get-togethers, and unforgettable celebrations. Make your special day even better with our welcoming atmosphere and outstanding service. Visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com, where great golf and great memories meet. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
news, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick, is there room on the bandwagon for me?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The strike shutting down the largest U.S. commuter rail system is having a big impact on riders.
Hundreds of thousands of daily commuters, like teacher Katie Dalgo, left doubling and tripling their commute time as well as cost. She drove from Long Island to Queens to pay to park and take a subway.
My concern coming home is I have to get my son at daycare by 5:30. It's going to take me longer getting home. I'm a teacher. I'm going to have to leave work at 1:30.
The strike began Saturday. The unions and the MTA have been negotiating a new contract since 2023. Julie Walker, New York.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin will be in Beijing this week, just days after President Trump wrapped up his own diplomatic talks with his counterpart, Xi Jinping.
The Kremlin has said Putin and Xi will discuss global issues, economic ties, and the long-standing partnership between the two countries. China and Russia's ties have deepened in the recent years, especially after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, as sanctions from Western countries pushed Moscow to lean on China for trade and diplomatic support. This visit is likely to be closely watched in Washington, as China is trying to keep a stable relation with the U.S., but at the same time maintaining close ties with Russia.
That report from correspondent Eduardo Castillo. The Justice Department says several high-profile investigations are moving forward. More of that from correspondent Willie Nelson.
Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche says the Justice Department's probe into the Russia collusion hoax surrounding President Trump has uncovered serious findings. Blanche says investigators have issued hundreds of subpoenas and questioned multiple witnesses. Blanche also says there is substantial evidence of irregularities in the 2020 election, with investigations underway in Arizona and Georgia. Willie Nelson, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up about 40 points this hour. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, if you haven't been rained on yet, you probably will today, as we have scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area through this evening that could produce some hail or gusty winds. Isolated tornado possible, but not really likely. We'll get a little bit of a lull, and then it looks like things fire up again tomorrow morning, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, and then another round of developing storms tomorrow afternoon with yet another risk of severe weather. So 2 stormy days in a row before things quiet down a little bit on Wednesday. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashton over there. And thank you, Tracy, for sending me the video of Gold Star dad Mark Schmitz as he wound up introducing Kid Rock. And when Amy pointed out that it was fantastic, well, here's proof.
I can't hear you. Are you guys ready to celebrate your freedom? Is that the best you got? Are you ready to rip a hole in the sky?
Wow. I mean, that was everything that you all are saying it is. So thank you very much for sending that along. And good old Kid Rock in St. Louis on Friday. All right. Also in Kansas City right now is Vice President J.D. Vance, who is at a manufacturing plant and taking questions now, I believe, or doing a speech, it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and rock him live for you from Kansas City, Vice President J.D. Vance.
In this seat. But I don't know who the Democrat's going to be. We probably don't know who the Democrat's going to be. Who is it? Okay. I don't know who that is. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. That person, I guarantee you, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to play J.D. Vance the prophet. Coming up October, November, you're going to see television advertisements. And you're going to see radio advertisements. You're going to hear them. And what they're going to tell you is that this person who's running, he's not like all the other congressional Democrats in Washington, D.C. He actually cares about you. He's willing to work with President Trump and the Republicans to get things done. And I guarantee you that person is going to run pretending that he fights for you, and in reality, he's going to get there and fight for Nancy Pelosi. Because that's what congressional Democrats do. That's what they have to do in order to get their campaign contributions and the support from the interest groups. They have to promise not to fight for you. They've got to promise to fall in line behind Nancy Pelosi. And that's why they sit on their hands. That's why they refuse to clap and cheer for the simple principle that your government ought to fight for you. And that's why we cannot let those people anywhere near congressional leadership in Washington, D.C. You know, at the State of the Union, the president gave me a very cool job. He decided to make me in charge of the fraud task force that we've been going after in Washington. And every day, people ask me, they'll say, is that a hard job? And the President of the United States will say, you know, how are we doing finding fraud today? And I'll say, you know, honestly, fighting fraud in Washington, D.C., it's a little bit like fishing in a barrel with a nuclear weapon. It is the easiest thing to find. Every single day, my staff will bring me new reports of the ways that you're being defrauded. And there are all look, there's a simple principle that I have, which is if you are committing fraud against the American people, you ought to go to prison. If you are a public official and you're not fighting against fraud, you ought to have your money taken away because you should not be able to steal from all of you and give it to fraudsters. So, and the thing I've learned about fighting fraud is that it is the ultimate non-victimless crime. There are at least 2 victims every time a fraudster takes advantage of our public programs. Number one, you are the victims. When you pay your taxes, you ought to expect that it's going to go to the people that the law says it's going to go to. That's number one. But number two, when you pay into a program, let's say you pay your taxes and you know it's going to go to the food stamp program to ensure that low-income children actually have the ability to eat. You expect that money to go to a child to keep that child from being hungry. You do not expect it to go to a Somali fraudster because Governor Tim Walz in Minnesota is not doing his job. But
you know what's crazy about the visual on this particular J.D. Vance speech is it looks like, because it's got a bunch of people, these guys in hard hats, some of them, and they're holding signs that say, Made in America. And if you kind of took J.D. Vance out of the picture and just had them standing there, you would think that this was a Democrat event. And you know why? Because the Democrats always faked like they were these big union supporters and blue-collar worker supporters and Made in America supporters and everything else. But they're not and never were. Which is why you see so many. I'm not quite sure whether these people are in a union or not. I don't know what company this is. But they used to just always try to brag that they had all this support and worker support and blue collar support and these kind of things. And the reality is that's why a lot of unions moved some of their support behind President Trump, because he actually was putting his money where his mouth was. I mean, he's actually bringing manufacturing back to the United States of America and doing what these people all thought the Democrats were doing, or even tricked them into believing they were concerned about it. And so the Trump administration is actually delivering to these companies, to small businesses, to big businesses, to these workers and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, honestly, when you look at the visual, it's as if the Trump administration, President Trump, J.D. Vance, totally stole the fake brand of the Democrats. And so I absolutely love it. Just one more second, we'll pop up and see what else is going on here.
When somebody steals $1.4 billion from the Medicaid program, that is theft from you, and that's theft from people who deserve to be able to go see a doctor. When people steal billions of dollars from the Medicare program, that is theft from you, and it's also theft from the people who use the Medicare program to pay their bills. When somebody steals money from a program that's meant to benefit autistic
all right, so you guys
children,
get the drift here, and this is something we've talked about last week when J.D. Vance was talking about fraud. He has, some of you might be like, why is he talking about fraud at this manufacturing plant? Well, he has been speaking for a while and addressed all that early on in his speech. He's been speaking for about 20 minutes now, so we just kind of popped in on the last few minutes of that, and that is in Kansas City at a manufacturing plant in Kansas City. All right, so on to the pond, and you guys know the reflecting pool or whatever you want to call it, the reflecting pond was... So they're mocking President Trump because he wants to do the light blue. He wants to do blue and paint the reflecting pond blue. And there were renderings of it. You've probably seen them by now that look really super good. And it's absolutely great. This is probably, I think it was 1.5 million at one point, and then has gone up to 10. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, Obama spent $34 million on the pond renovation. CNN did a segment actually on this. This is in 2012. It was a 2-year, $34 million reflecting pool renovation. There's a guy on the internet now claiming that, well, if it's blue, it's going to attract more algae. But the reality is this guy knows nothing about science or anything like that, even though he's purporting to. There is a reason why there is so much algae in the reflecting pond or reflecting pool. And CNN actually talked about it. They never once mentioned Obama, as people were ripping on it and everything else. But they did mention something that the Obama administration, the idiots in the Obama administration, decided to do in terms of the water from the pond.
There's plenty to take pictures of in downtown Washington, D.C. The Lincoln Memorial, the World War II Memorial, and then there's this. Folks snapping photos of the reflecting pool.
It's really sludgy up this end.
And what's in it?
It's disgusting. It's not right.
Algae.
It's like, smells like wet dog down here, you know. When my dog came home from a stream, he always smelled like this, so it's gross.
The Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool reopened at the end of August to great fanfare after a $34 million renovation that lasted nearly 2 years. But less than a month later, the famous pool of water is full of algae. Algae are simple organisms that thrive in areas where there is heat and sunlight. You have plenty of that here.
The water may not look great, but it doesn't pose a health or safety hazard. It's really just the yuck factor.
Oh, yeah, But never mention Obama. Now, again, if you listen closely, you'll start to see exactly why the idiots in the Obama administration screwed up so badly. After $34 million of a renovation, they basically created an environment where, of course, there's going to be algae.
If it's sunny, if it's really warm, it will rise to the top. So on some days, depending on the weather, you will see algae at the top, and they looks like small islands of algae.
But why has algae suddenly become a problem? The reflecting pool was renovated to fix cracks and leaks, but it also included installing a system to draw water from the nearby tidal basin into the pool instead of using city drinking water.
Yeah. Well, and we all know that when you are using city drinking water, which of course is to a certain degree chlorinated, I mean, it's clean and everything else, you're not going to get algae. But when you bring water in from a natural habitat like the tidal basin, you're going to get algae because it's basically naturalized water that you're bringing in, because they thought it would be much more natural and much more down to earth, I guess, right? If they just sucked in the water from the tidal basin.
Algae naturally grows in the tidal basin. Plus, the renovated pool holds less.
I mean, that right there is the stupidest idea on the planet. Hey, I know what we should do. Let's stop using drinking water and suck it out from the tidal basin. How does that sound, guys? Like, nobody ever said, yeah, it probably isn't going to be great because you're basically, like, the tidal basin is full of algae. That's kind of like what that is. DLW says pond scum. Exactly, like the Mets. But it's unbelievable what an idiotic, and I'm sure they thought, oh, this is more green, right? It's more green to take in the water from the tidal basin than to use city drinking water. And it turns out it was the dumbest, idiotic move on the planet that basically created, after 2 years and $34 million, just a bunch of slimy, nasty, disgusting reflecting pool stuff.
Into the pool instead of using city drinking water. Algae naturally grows in the tidal basin. Plus, the renovated pool holds less water. That shallow depth is a perfect condition for algae to grow. A bit of an embarrassment for the Park Service.
Yeah, for the Park Service? Well, it's a bit of an embarrassment for the Park Service. It ought to be a bit of an embarrassment for Obama and the Obama administration. This is 2012. Even then, like, golly, Park Service, aren't you embarrassed? It's like, not as much as the Obama administration ought to be embarrassed. I mean, aren't they the party of science, by the way, right? Aren't they the ones who always claim that we're anti-science and everything else? Well, neither you nor me are scientists, but we know enough to know that algae will grow in natural habitats and water, and when you bring it in to the tidal, the reflecting pond or reflecting pool, I thought I established which one it was, and now I'm so confused. I don't even know. I got to say it both just to cover my butt. So it comes in, and you're putting it in shallow water. So you might as well have just a puddle of pond that the sun is beating down on, and it's growing algae, for crying out loud. But no, it's an embarrassment for the Park Service.
It's really a shame that they hadn't planned out this a little bit better so you wouldn't have algae growing after all this time and money.
Yeah, well, at least the Park Service has used the term they. It's really a shame they didn't plan this out. Of all the people in the Obama administration, all the Democrats, all the scientists, everybody around, nobody said, hey, if we bring in that lake water, there's going to be algae. And I guarantee you some people didn't even care. They probably thought, well, at least it's natural. It's green, it's like more like that. It turns out it's a complete and total disaster. And some guy tried to claim that the blue, I guarantee you, President Trump, I don't know what his plan is, but all you have to do is put a big friggin' cork in whatever that hole is that is bringing in the water from the tidal basin, drain the damn thing, put it back in the tidal basin if you want to, and fill it up with pool water. That's when the blue, and have the pool guy come out and take care of it every week or every 2 weeks and put some chlorine in there, And don't forget about the diving board also, people, okay? Which I'm also calling for. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you. And coming up, Italy. Is it now being colonized by the Islamic crazies just like France and Germany and the UK has been? We'll follow up on that, too. It's Common Sense Radio.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to Noel Buckingham the other day. My goodness gracious. I think we ought to say some retroactive prayers for Noel. He was involved in a rear-end collision that poor car of his. He wound up being good. But those things can really change dramatically. And so I am thankful on behalf of the Allman Report listeners and News Talk STL listeners that Noel Buckingham is safe and sound. But you know what? When you're out and about, you're doing your thing, you're in the community, you're working, you're doing all that kind of stuff, sometimes you will be put in those kinds of situations. Noel is a hard worker, a great community guy. Constantly involved in the community and constantly involved in making sure that pest control for your home is absolutely complete and done the right way. I'll give you a great example of that. So when he comes in to my backyard, so I just had the pool open, which I'm glad about and everything else, but eventually before anybody hangs out there, I need to have that whole area there mosquito-free totally. And what Buckingham Pest Control does, they do not do a fogging thing. Fogging maybe works temporarily, but not as hardcore as spraying the trees. That's where these mosquitoes are right now, hanging out, planning, plotting, partying right now before they go and suck your blood. So that's what you need to do is get rid of them once and for all. And so you spray the trees. That's the most effective way. Same thing with termites. It's a liquid system that they're using. It's not some of these other ways that they're doing stuff like boxes and things like that. They take care of business that way. Buckingham Pest Control. Noel's been around for a long, long time supporting free common sense conservative radio for a long, long time as well. I've known him ever since he started that business 25 years ago or so. And so it's really great what he does. Don't forget about, the spider issues. And if you're seeing ants or whatever, take care of business there because he's got an ant eradication program. So you're never going to see those babies in your kitchen again. Noel Buckingham, glad you're okay, buddy. And you are always with us in our prayers. And you continue to be just a great guy, supporter of free common sense conservative radio, BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now. 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri. A full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
She is making New York less safe. President Trump has done more to protect the citizens of New York than she has.
It's not in China's interest or anyone's interest for there to be any sort of forced change in the status quo.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800 Get Windows.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashton over there. And let me just preface this with something. You don't get mad at me or anything, but I just want to let you know that generally terrorist attacks aren't supposed to make you hungry, but this one in Italy did, but for really all the wrong reasons. So far, Italy really has gotten control over its illegal immigration problem, alien problem. There are very few Africans who are going to pop up into Sicily and start raping people and groping people. Not in Sicily. That's not going to happen. And in other parts of Italy, it's not going to happen either. But sometimes, when you get enough of these clowns in there, the Islamist clowns in there, you're gonna hit the negative terroristic jackpot sooner rather than later. And so this happened in Modena. Modena is a beautiful city in Italy, and you guys might be familiar with balsamic vinegar of Modena, which is the best, by the way. And, varying in price, everything else. I love cooking with it. It's great. There's a sirloin steak Modena, which is a recipe for that, which is really good. The balsamic vinegar on steak is fantastic. And you can make a glaze with it. But that's where, and you can also make a caprese salad with it, which is really good with balsamic vinegar. So anyway, Modena is known not only for its great cuisine, but also, of course, for the balsamic vinegar, as well as olive oil and everything else. It's all the romance of Italy. It's Italy is a beautiful country, and it is in beautiful people, and it's a strong country, and it still has its level of pride, unlike, for instance, I think to a certain degree France is trying to get that back. Germany's given up, just basically been colonized by the Islamist crazies who rape people at swimming pools and grope people and run over people at Christmas markets and stuff like that. It's what they do over there. And the UK, of course, you might as well give that up, too, although they did elect some more conservative people, so we'll see how that whole thing goes. But one thing, I love this story, and it's by a writer named David Strom, who's a good writer, and I think nails it, because right now we're supposed to believe that Muslim migrants enrich cultures. That's what we're told. That they will enrich cultures, and all these idiot left-wingers in Germany and France and even in England believe that to be the case, and somehow they've been tricked into it by the Muslim crazies. And not only have they been tricked into it by the Muslim crazies, but you get enough of the Muslim crazies in there, and then if you start complaining about it, you're racist, and you're an Islamophobe, and you'll go to jail. In the UK, you will. So what happens is they come on in, invade your space, and then when you complain about them invading your space, they accuse you of being a racist and an Islamophobe, and they keep you quiet that way so that more of them can move in without any kind of scrutiny or whatever. So I definitely like this commentary from David Strom, who says, hey, Georgia Maloney should follow Keir Starmer's lead and step up the surveillance of white Europeans, because they will no doubt overreact to the culturally vibrant, diverse behavior of the Muslim migrants who drive their cars into crowds and jump out to stab people as they try to escape. So the dateline here is Saturday in Modena, Italy. A suspect named Salim El-Kudri arrested over a car ramming attack in Modena, Italy. 8 people injured, 4 seriously. One victim had both of her legs crushed. So tell me, what part of the beautiful, enriching Muslim culture is this stabby phenomenon? What kind of cultural enrichment is the car rammings that they do a lot of, more than any other ethnic group in the world? What is it about that part of the enriched Muslim culture that does that? I mean, you saw what happened in Britain, by the way, and this is an ongoing story, where you had a British guy leaving a bar, is on his phone, and there's some Sikh with a big, gigantic sword across his stomach or whatever, it's his chest. And the British guy says something to him, jokingly, and the Sikh stabs him to death. He tries to jump over a fence or whatever. He's bleeding to death. The British police come, and because the Sikh said that the guy was a racist, they handcuffed him while he was bleeding out. Bleeding out in the street, handcuffed, after being stabbed by a Sikh. Now, that's technically not Muslim, but you get what I'm talking about with these migrants. So there was a passerby who tried to stop Salim El-Kudri, and he was stabbed. And this is what David Strom says about it, which I think is accurate. Islam is a religion of peace, but apparently an awful lot of Muslims didn't get the memo. Ramming incidents are becoming more common in Europe and serve as an easier version of the IED, allowing people to commit random mayhem without all the fuss of building a bomb. One of the least spoken of features of Muslim migration is that the second generation born in their adopted countries is often even more radicalized than the first. Now, I reached this conclusion a while back, people. I told you about the second generation, the kids. They're the ones who are up. And again, what did I say about the story I told you about last week? It never got any reporting at all, hardly any, on the mainstream media, where these young, radical Muslims are harassing Jewish people in Brooklyn, in their neighborhoods, on the streets, at their synagogues, and everything else. The people you saw who were the pro-Palestine protesters and everything else were mostly the spit of first-generation migrants to this country. So they come here, they poop out a bunch of babies, and the babies have no allegiance or anything. And I'm not saying that's the parents who are radicalizing them, whatever. I don't even know. My suspicion is that these people come over here, they have their babies, and their babies are, every single one of them is looked upon like the Christ child. And therefore they grow up entitled. They grow up not having to abide by any of the rules that the rest of us have to, because they're special, because they've been told that by not only their parents after they were born, but also the people in the schools and all this other stuff. Everybody's got to move aside for you. After a while, when everybody has to move aside for you as you walk down the hallways or do whatever, or everybody has to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're not graded poorly and that you're not this and you're not that. Couple that with your easier access to college and stuff like that than white people, or even for that matter, black people. Oftentimes in this discussion, it's not discussed enough that black people are just as screwed as white people when it comes to these migrants. So especially these Islamic crazy migrants, it's not. So we sometimes forget that that black people are suffering probably sometimes even greater than white people when it comes to illegal aliens. David Strom continues, studies in Nordic countries where they actually keep track of things so that second-generation migrants, children of migrants, are just as dependent on social services and no more integrated than their parents. Now, if you look at what happened in Minnesota, you do understand. We saw this because Nick Shirley was videotaping them. You didn't see any 60-year-old Somali rip-off artists. You didn't see any 60-year-old Somali Leering Center owners. You didn't see any 60-year-old Somali daycare operators or whatever. They were all about 30 years old. They were all that generation because they're the kids of migrants who basically just kind of still collect welfare, still all that kind of stuff. And then also on top of that, figured out a way to rip the system off. At least they're not running people over, but you never know. This Salim El-Kudri is an Italian citizen, much like all of the knuckle draggers supporting Palestine, much like all of the people harassing Jewish people in Brooklyn. They're all U.S. citizens. So you really can't just go and deport them. So now we have to live with their poisonous presence, their toxic presence in our country. And the media coddles them, treats them special, whatever. But what you're seeing in Italy is something that ultimately, I'm telling you, I would love to see the I would love to see Italy absolutely fight back, and violently so, if they have to. Here's another, and this David Strom quotes this news article about it. It's from it's an opinion piece as well. Study after study confirms that second and third generation Muslim migrants, especially from North Africa and other regions, are often far more radical than their parents. They reject the West that fed and housed them. They turn to Islamic jihad in higher numbers. Homegrown terrorist attacks across Europe, London, Paris, Bataclan, Manchester Arena, countless others were carried out by these homegrown second-generation kids. One major analysis found 89% of Islamic attacks in the West were by second-generation or converts raised in the host country. The first generation came for the benefits. Their children were raised in parallel societies, no-go zones, radical mosques, and online hate factories taught that the country that gave them everything is the enemy. That's especially true, of course, in France, where there are no-go zones, like the police don't go there. And that's what happens is they're isolated in these communities and radicalized that way. Leaders knew this was happening. They imported millions anyway because they wanted to celebrate diversity, and then screamed racist at anyone who warned them about failed assimilation, chain migration, birthright citizenship for non-Westerners. So at this point, though, the problem is you're not going to be able in any way, shape, or form to get rid of them. That's the problem. That's the idea that the Islamic crazies have, is they become the fungus in an already perhaps compromised tree, which is what the problem was in Germany, where, you know, they're coming off of World War II and all the Nazi stuff and everything else. German nationalism disappeared because they were so embarrassed by what happened in World War II that the modern German, any semblance of being nationalistic, makes you feel like some kind of crazy Nazi. You take bus tours in Germany, and the hosts every single time apologize for the Holocaust. And I'm not saying it's nothing to be feel bad about, but what I'm saying is they've changed their culture out of shame. And when they basically just shame themselves, they just allowed themselves then to be cucked by a bunch of Islamic crazies. France, the same way. They experienced some of that in World War II as well. Nationalism in France is almost non-existent. The UK, particularly. I mean, but people are fighting back. I mean, this is a video of the Brits. They're marching, and they're all no screaming, no fires, no broken glass, no threats, machetes, chants of Allahu Akbar, and at least there's some pockets of people who will ultimately take this into their own hands. And unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen, is that there will be a situation where for the lack of leadership and protection from your leaders, you take matters into your own hands. And so, in my opinion, to my point in the beginning, and to David Strom's point in the beginning, Meloni has a real chance here to take leadership, because if she doesn't, I guarantee the Italians, citizens more than anybody else in Europe, with the exception of, some places like Hungary and those places, and Romania, the Italians will absolutely not take any crap from these people. So, if Maloney doesn't want a full-on civil war with Muslim crazies, she's got her chance to stop it now. That's for sure. AOC, she's got a real winner, man. It's I'll have that for you, plus other crazy stuff going on around here. The First Lady of New York is also telling us what her favorite song is. I'm not kidding you. There's a song out there on Spotify called Hungry But Sexy for Palestine. Don't worry, I won't play it for you. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hanson's Tree Service, hansonstree.com. And I gotta tell you, when it is time for you to make sure your trees are healthy, I know that today, the storm today is a lot of rain, not much wind, but it just reminds you of the precariousness. And I know as you keep on putting it off, right, you're kind of thinking, oh, well, I know that tree, we're not going to have a storm. And then suddenly it's storming, and you're like, oh, no. Well, that's because you're sensing you need to go ahead, take matters into your hands, and get the job done, and take care of the deadwooding and pruning of your trees. Take care of the dead tree. Because especially the last 2 weeks and the soaking of the ground and everything else, you know that soaked ground and a dead tree are bad combinations because that tree will come down because it no longer has that foundation in the ground. So make sure that Hanson's Tree is there for you. They'll finance whatever it is you need to do. And now on the more fun side, how about the mulch and how about the magic bean? So Chad, who was on the air with me last week talking about this, the mulch is super popular. The Hanson's Tree Service mulch is great. They've all kind of different colors, all kind of different cuts of the mulch. Some people like that thicker cut. Other people like the more shaved type of thin cut. Whatever it happens to be, they have it for you. And you can order it online, which is really groovy as well. And when I come to you with this magic bean thing. So Chad and I were joking last week because I kind of came up with the term magic bean, and we joked because I talked to Jeff about it. And it's a composting mixture that will grow your plants and your shrubs and all that kind of stuff in ways that you can't possibly imagine. Just really very super cool. And at first Jeff was like, I don't know whether we should call it magic or not. I go, well, tell you what, I love you, brother, but I'm going to call it magic anyway because I've seen the pictures of Dave MacArthur's sunflowers and all these other things that have grown with it. So I realize, but the FTC is not going to come down on you for calling it magic. It is magic. It's not like it's a medicine. It's absolutely a composting mixture, and it works. You're going to love it if you're growing veggies, if you're growing flowers, if you plant just on your new plantings. The magic bean is great. That can be delivered to your doorstep as well as the mulch can be delivered to your doorstep. Again, all ordered online, making it super easy. Hanson's Tree Service, supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio going on more than 20 years now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Oh, we had a little thing going on. It's supposed to be called Maypole, because this is where the girls do this after their graduation, and it's been postponed until Wednesday because of the rain. It's like everything is soaked. It doesn't matter if the rain's stopping at 5 o'clock, and this event was at 6:45, but that's just how it goes. All right, people. So, man, this is I almost hate to bring this to you, but there was this Luigi Mangione appearance in court today, and there were a bunch of people who are credentialed press outside of the hearing, and somebody interviewed them. They were like these three sisters, whatever. I don't know, three reporting, and they called them like the three reporting twins or whatever. They're all credentialed media, so they have their tags on and everything else, and they're supposedly reporting on the Luigi Mangione trial. And somebody walks up to him and says, hey, what do you think about all this? And these are the so-called journalists. Listen to this.
I think people need to know how much power they have to resist with rights like jury nullification, which is information that's like purposely obfuscated from the public, especially because our government and these health insurance companies, they're literally stealing our money and using it to kill us. Like, come on.
This is press, right? She's got a placard as she's wearing over her neck that says New York Press.
The American people need to stand up for themselves. It's about time. It's beyond time.
Okay, by the way, okay, you guys know the story of Luigi Mangione, and of course he killed the health insurance executive, everything else, and people are celebrating him, but you don't expect, well, you kind of do, but the press to sit there and openly, with their press credentials on, defend the murder of anybody, much less a health insurance executive. And so the person who is kind of interviewing them or getting their comments is like, who are you with again?
I'm arriving late. Can you tell me who you are and why you're here today?
You want to go first? Yeah, my name is Lena, and we've just been court watching all of Luigi's court dates, and we're part of a group called the Mangianistas. You can find us on
What are you called?
The Mangianistas. We are a trio, essentially like Mangianista April is right there and stuff like that. We're essentially here to be Luigi Mangiane's advocate as well as bringing social issues to light.
Yeah. So again, they're press credentialed members. I'm not saying they're with the New York Times or whatever else, but they're press credentialed members. And the New York City mayor's office provided these individuals with press badges to be able to see there. And the one woman, I can't play this on the air for you, but the one woman says, I'm saying F. Brian Thompson, I don't give a flying F, he died. And then another one added, Lena, who you just heard from, but I didn't play it for you, adds that Thompson's teenage sons are better off without him and should enjoy the blood money. These people were credentialed press members given press credentials by the New York City mayor's office. I mean, can Mamdani and that whole environment up there in New York between the vermin attacking Jewish people in Brooklyn without Mamdani saying anything, and all of the New York City press-credentialed people hanging outside of the Luigi A. Mangione thing, talking about how glad they are this guy's dead. I mean, my goodness gracious. New York's in big, big trouble. I feel bad for the people who actually are using their hard-earned money to do this. And in the meantime, we've got AOC giving a little speech, and I don't really, I have a little time for it, so I'll play it for you.
Microphones here, there's a lot of them. I love you too. How are we all doing today? I'm so grateful.
And then what she does is here's what.
It is time for the North to pull up to the South. It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It is time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have uncorked with this injustice. They think they can draw us out of power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened.
By the way, she's giving this speech in front of these gigantic bulletproof glass panels. Unbelievable.
Because it is not a coincidence, and our whole country must understand that it was not until voting rights were ratified in this country that we got the Great Society. Because when Black Americans have the right to vote and that vote is protected, our schools get funded. When voting rights are protected, health care gets expanded. When voting rights are protected, our country moves forward. In Montgomery, that's what they're actually afraid of. They're afraid of us coming together. They're afraid of us protecting one another. Alabama is the crucible. Georgia is the crucible. Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi is the crucible. So if you are not from here, it is time to pull up. Because what they thought was the final blow is actually just the opening silo.
Opening silo? You mean salvo? Is that what is that what you meant, dear heart? Because I don't know. Did you mean that?
They thought was the final blow is actually just the opening silo.
Oh, Lordy. I mean, sometimes these people, and I didn't think AOC is not necessarily I don't think she's dumb, but I don't know. She didn't go to school when they talked about what an opening salvo is compared to an opening silo. I guess she missed that day. And doesn't read either, so that's another thing, too. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Coming up, the great Tony Colombo and Company. Thank you for listening to the Allman Report. Have a great day.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today today and help bring a child home. Find the children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really